about to start.
Everyone, welcome to a new episode of No Conduct Radio. If you can hear, I am sick. I am overly stuffy, and whatever's going around over here in Philly has gotten me and my daughter to apparently half of her school is out of school, to the point where the parents were asking the school to do something. I don't know what they thought the school could do, but whatever's going around, it's horrible. So I would suggest quarantine yourself. Stay indoors. Stay away from everybody. Horrible. So yeah, we're over here getting better. So I apologize if I don't get to mute it and you catch me coughing, and I also apologize for my stuffy sounding self. Tonight, right now, we're joined by Logic. Char's coming on, and DJ's coming on because he's such a superstar. He has to go to photo shoots, and he's going to be late tonight. Tonight, we're discussing Char's conspiracy theories. So I know she has given us a peek into the crazy that we call her mind, but tonight she's going to open that door wide open, and we're going to see what the hell Char really thinks. So she's going to be telling us stuff about, the government, celebrities, and whatever else we've been supposedly duped about. So that's what we're talking about tonight. If you have your own conspiracy theories or you agree with Char, as usual, you can feel free to call in at 607-203-5378, 607-203-5378, or you could text us at 484-840-3627. Logic, Char, how are y'all doing tonight?
Great. Good to
Groovy.
Hello. How was the week?
You said how was what?
Everyone's week. I said hello. How was everyone's week?
Oh, well, so far my week has been just being sick, really.
I was going to ask if you felt better. I mean, you feel better today? A little?
I mean, I feel better. It's just, you're still getting off that sickness, so you're still stuffy and all this stuff, coughing. That's where I am right now. But in terms of the aches and pains and chills and stuff, that's no longer there. And then now, I know we share a lot on no conduct, so I have to ask. Apparently I have to get a root canal, and I'm kind of semi-freaking out. I'm not there yet. I know when it gets closer I'm going to be completely freaking out. Has anyone had a root canal?
No,
Nobody?
I haven't. I haven't. I've just heard they're horrible. Oh, sorry. No, I really mean to tell you that. They're necessary, and you feel so much better when it's done.
Even with the numbing medication they gave you, it's still bad?
No, it's just it's just probably afterwards the soreness, and because it's an invasive procedure, but it can be done, and you'll feel better once it's healed. So it's almost worse. It's worse if you don't get it done, because you know how the pain comes. You know how tooth pain is. You'll feel a lot better when you're done. So don't worry. Don't be fearful.
Well, the root canal procedure came from a interrogation technique used by the Nazis.
Well, I didn't want to make her.
I don't believe you.
No, he's right. He's absolutely right. And I didn't want to make it worse for her, so I was trying to smooth it over, if you noticed. After I kind of put fear in her, I was like, wait,
wait, Logic, are you playing or you're serious?
I'm joking. Good Lord, it's a medical procedure. What are you talking about?
Because she's like, I didn't want to say that. Like she knew it already.
Yeah, but Char is an actress. She has an acting background, so she's
okay. But seriously, Logic. Okay, honestly, this is why I said it, because back in the day, tooth procedures, anything with teeth was really bad. They would use some very barbaric, equipment or what have you, and they would basically give you a bottle of some kind of a really good whiskey, and you were talking about, hammers and saw, not saws, but things barbaric. So I'm sure if you really do the research on it, that's likely where it came from. But they would not have the option of anesthesia. It's just an invasive type of necessary.
Well, they did, but they didn't. I mean, back in the day, if you're talking about like the cowboy days,
the 1700s, right? Exactly.
They would. What? What did you say?
Nothing. I just said exactly. I didn't say anything else.
Okay. Well, anyway, you would smother somebody with chloroform and put them to sleep, and then that's how people did stuff like that.
That sounds horrible, because when you wake up, that numbing pain is going to still be there.
Well, the pain, I mean, yeah, but when you went through the procedure, you didn't have to like kind of sit through them, cutting into your gums and stuff like that. You were asleep. But yeah, when you woke up, the pain was there. So that's the only difference.
Yeah, I think the pain's probably worse after. But no, I was going backwards a little before that time you're talking about. I mean, when they literally would just give you a bottle of whiskey and just hope that numbs it, and then just go for it, I mean, the pliers to get the tooth out first and whatever it was. And so times have definitely evolved. Kai should be just fine. She won't feel a thing. It'll, if anything, just after the fact, you'll be like, oh God, but you'll be fine.
Yeah. I don't trust either one of y'all. So anyways, I'll let y'all know how that goes. I think it's on a Is it on a Wednesday? I think it's on a Wednesday, so y'all will hear me the next day. Or not hear me. If I'm in too much pain to talk, y'all won't hear me. One of the two. But I'll let you know how it goes. So Logic, how have you been?
Sure you really
not
need
here
it?
for us. They say I need it. They showed me the X-ray. It looks like I need it. I don't know.
Well, the thing with dentists, they're just like doctors. Like you just have to be careful with who you're messing with, because some people can say that you need a procedure and you really don't. So obviously surgery.
So I wonder
is big
if
money.
my insurance will cover it for me to get a second opinion. I'll call them tomorrow and see if they'll cover it for a second opinion.
It couldn't hurt. So.
Yeah, because the root canal is very expensive and it sounds like a lot of pain. So either way, they're basically giving it to me up the yeah. So I guess I'll find out if I can get a second opinion. Hopefully they tell me I don't need it, and then that'll relieve some of the anxiety. Yay. But I was gonna say, Logic, how are you doing?
Everything's everything.
What does that even mean?
Nothing at all. That's exactly why I say it. It's a way to tell somebody nothing, but make it seem like you told them something.
Logic. That's funny because I hear that a lot now these days, just in general, and I'm like, okay, I think that's what that means. Kind of like,
it's like when you're talking to somebody and you're not listening, and then they say, "Oh, you know what I mean?" Like, yeah, well, what are you going to do? Put one foot in front of the other,
I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean.
So, okay, I guess everything is supposedly everything. So we'll move on then. So Char,
yes.
What are you bringing
here
to us tonight?
Well, my lovely, lovely listeners throughout the land, I have taken my notes, although it's in my I walk around with these things in my head, but I've taken my scroll notes, and I double-dog for anybody out there to debunk any of my theories. Bring it on, because I actually have notes. So, Kai, how did you want to do it? Do you want to start with one theory, throw it out there, and get our feedback, and then just kind of move to the next, or Logic might have one from that point. I don't know. But there's basically there's 4 really juicy theories. And, yeah, so we may not get to all 4, I'm not sure.
Look, I'm itching. I want to hear what this is. I really do.
Well, it's very, very juicy. So, in fact, we'll start with racism because it's something that, unfortunately, race wars are all in the air. We can all feel it. But this kind of floored me, actually. Floored me. I just thought, you're kidding. No way. So, okay, who has heard about this? There's a man. His last name is, I think his name is, I don't remember his first name. I'm sorry. So much for notes. But so his last name is Cobb. So this man is known for, there was a movement that started in North Dakota back in 2012, and I literally did look at the actual video, but I also took some notes based on what's on the internet. And so he lives in a small town called Leaf, North Dakota. There's 32 inhabitants of the town. There's a mixed race couple. There's a black man and a white woman who are very much in love. Older couple, okay, very much in love. And they both grew up, either they grew up there, the lady grew up there or something, but she, now the man lives there now, put it that way, along with her. And I don't know about now. Let me go back to 2012. Anyway, so here's the problem. Here's where the issue gets very interesting, is that he's living there in love with his wife, minding his own business. Cobb comes along and says, hey, I feel that our town, that blacks should not be allowed. So when you enter the town of Leaf, North Dakota, apparently there was a billboard years ago that stated something like, blacks are not welcomed, or, only whites are welcomed here, that kind of thing. So he goes in this whole entire campaign against black people even entering the town, let alone being residents. So finally, he gets the attention of a talk show host named Trisha Goddard. The Trisha Goddard show no longer exists, but it was on and very popular throughout the 80s and 90s. Okay, so she has him on as a guest, and here's where it gets really twisty. He's upset because there's a black person in his town, blah, blah, blah. They have some other person come on that she's actually black and says, I agree with you. I think that races shouldn't mix. And so Trisha says, well, hey, how about take the DNA test, Mr. Cobb, just to see what your own DNA ancestry is, okay? And he's going, oh, come on, what's the point of that? I'm white, I'm all white, I love being white, I wouldn't dare be black, all of that. Like you have a choice. So lo and behold, the test results come back. To his chagrin, he is only 86% European ancestry and 14% sub-Saharan African. Can you believe this? Now, one of my coworkers said something about he thought that he committed suicide shortly after, but I have not found anything to support that part of the theory.
I was about to say, did he jump off a bridge when he found that out?
Right, but that's
not even a lot of black in you. That's just 14%.
Yeah, but imagine having one drop of black. This man wanted no black people in his entire town, period, and he literally went on an entire national campaign. What was the need for that word? He went on this massive campaign to make it known that no black person was even allowed in the town, and that we're just basically discussing people who are barbaric and we have no sense. And so come to find out, he is still part black. You can't say he's not. So that, to me, was a good conspiracy theory. Now they say that there's lots of other white supremacists that are doing the same thing. They're going to get their DNA test, and they're sharing the results online on these threads or other websites. Why would they share the results when they find out whatever? I mean, I don't get the point of that. But this has definitely caught the attention at that time anyway of, if many people who are sitting here going, how can you hate something that's actually a part of you and you're so stupid you didn't even know you were? So what do you guys think about that?
Sounds about right to me.
So you didn't see any proof that he did commit suicide, though, so he's still alive.
No.
So I wonder what he's doing if he's still alive. I'm wondering what he's doing with that information then. Is somebody taking a piss or what's going on?
It sounds like I don't like the dishes. I have to make some.
I am pouring water into my bottle. I'm sorry.
Pouring water, huh? That's what they call it nowadays.
Okay. No, I'm thinking, what is the dish that he made a month ago or so? It's so good. Curry chicken? Is that something you cook? You were telling us something you were making. We were like, wow, it sounds delicious. So I thought maybe you were washing your dishes for making this delicious meal. but come to find out, it's water. Good old
He's
fashioned
taking
water.
a piss. Oh, yeah, pouring
Oh,
water,
taking
sorry.
a piss. Sound on this. I want to know a little bit more about what you guys really think about. Do you think it's maybe just made up? It wasn't true. It was fixed. It wasn't a real DNA
No, I'm pretty
test.
sure. I'm pretty sure that has happened to many a people. I don't personally, and I don't know who's going to agree with me because a lot of people like not agreeing with me. But personally, I think those DNA tests are just a waste of your money. It's kind of like, freaking going shopping for Valentine's Day, for instance. The DNA test is a waste of your money because contrary to what people want to believe, we all came from two people, so we're all a piece of everything. So have fun testing your DNA.
Even if you have a problem with connecting that, those DNA tests only test the matriarchal bloodlines of your lineage. So it's your mother, your grandmother, your great-grandmother. It's never the father. So whatever information you're getting, once you pass like 3 generations, you're only getting maybe a 16th of the information, and it continues to get lower. So it's like you really don't know anything. It's a waste of time.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's crazy. Well, just one side, huh?
You don't agree with that, Char? Because you got really quiet.
No, I'm saying scientifically, how is that fair? There's two.
That's it's the type of test that they do. That type of test only shows the matriarchal line. Don't
they say you are what your father is more so because your father's genes are more dominating?
Well, that's a racist eugenics type of thing. That's because the reason that people say you are what your mother is because white men during the slavery days used to rape their women, the slave women. So in order to not have to say, well, this is my child because he is what I am, they say you are what your mother is, because obviously all of the mothers were slaves and black people. They were saying, well, these kids are black because they are their mothers. That's what that was about. That has no grounds in anything other than racist rhetoric in order to not have to take care of the children of your rape victims.
Oh, I see. So, Kai, did you want to add anything else to this theory at all? Or was that your pretty much your, I don't know.
No, my thing is, like I said, it could happen. Definitely people who think they're something, 100% something, that's not necessarily what you are. So it could definitely happen, especially in the United States with slavery and stuff. There is nobody that's 100% white. So I just wish them good luck in thinking that. Plus, there's this
even in the world, there's no pure anything in the world. Everybody has everything in them at some point or another.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I was going to say there's this one woman, she just wrote a book. I think this happened some years ago. But her mother was passing as white, and her mother was black. I think her mother's mother was mixed, but her mother was light enough that she could pass as white. And when she grew up, she left home. I think she was from Louisiana or Georgia, and she moved to Virginia, and from there she started her new life and passed as white, and she never talked to her family again. She never spoke of her family, and because of that, her daughter, decided she wanted to find out more about her mom's family. So when she grew up, she went and, looked it up. And she was wondering when she looked up her mom's birth certificate, why it said, I think it said NEG or something next to it, next to race. And so she called the birth certificate people, and they explained to her, like, back in the day they wrote Negro on the birth certificate and everything like that. And then she tracked down the father, and she tracked down her grandmother, and then she went to her mom, and her mom got all, haughty about it, like, oh, no. And she's like, Mom, I saw your birth certificate. And then the mom was like, don't tell anybody until after I die, because what would my friends think of me if they knew I was black or whatever. So she didn't even know she was half black, half white. Like, if you look at her, she looks completely white, but, you know, her mom was a black woman, essentially, because she only had, like, maybe a quarter white in her. And she said whenever her mom would go outside, she would never go outside just for no reason, but whenever she went outside, she wore gloves, she wore a wide-brimmed hat, and she never got a tan. And then she always thought it was weird when her mom went to bed, she would put on a bit of concealer on her face, and she always wore concealer that was a shade lighter than her skin. And she said she asked her mom about it, and her mom said, well, you never know what's going to happen at night. If you have to go to the hospital, you always want to look your best or whatever. And so, you know, her family, and her father was actually a bigot. So this black woman was married to a bigot. And so the people who were interviewing her asked, well, did your father ever use derogatory terms? And she said, yeah, if something came on TV, he would totally, you know, use the N-word or whatever. And, you know, my mom would kind of be like, you shouldn't say that. Don't say that. But she couldn't, like, really say, why are you using it? Because then the father would start looking at her different. So she would just say, you know, you shouldn't say that. Don't use that word, you know, stuff like that. But if the children had turned out to be racist, they could have been just like this guy talking about, oh, you know, niggers don't belong here, blah, 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 blah. Turn around and find out that you're half white, half black. What are you going to do? So, you know, that happened a lot in the South. If you could pass with how bad black people were being treated, if you could pass, those people passed. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what you're mixed with, especially with slavery, even outside of slavery, because Africans, as much as people don't want you to believe this, I guess they want you to believe that Africans just, you know, lived right next to lions and huts and ate shit. I don't know. But Africans sailed the world way before Columbus even got lost. So, you know, they've been everywhere. Asians have been everywhere.
That's
Native Americans
true.
have been everywhere. It was only Columbus who was like the last person, and he couldn't even navigate the stars. So
yeah, he thought he was in the West Indies. Idiot. You know, Clyde,
yeah.
I didn't see that story. The story that you just spoke of, I saw that entire segment on a talk show, and her mother was really beautiful too. She really was. But I just could not believe that, because she did to meet her black siblings. Remember that, or her sister? Because she was on the panel that day. But I don't know what kind of relationship they carried on from that point. If she truly wanted to get to know her black side, or if she was more so out of curiosity.
No, if I remember correctly, because I only just recently rewatched her interview, but if I remember correctly, she actually reached out to them, and she had a good relationship with them. They, like, welcomed her with open arms, and she actually had a relationship with them. Yeah. Yeah,
okay. That's really good. Okay, so did you guys want to move on to the next conspiracy theory that I have for you? Or wanted to wrap up the first one? Okay, I'm going to do a wrap up of the first one. So if anyone would like to follow this story about Mr. Cobb and all of that, so this is pretty much where the information was from. Cobb is known for his movement to dominate the city of Leaf, North Dakota, with other white supremacists. The community has about 32 inhabitants. Cobb, who moved to Leaf in 2012, attracted other white supremacists to the town and displayed white nationalist paraphernalia on his properties. So as a result, local residents and anti-racist organizations organized a protest in Leaf against Cobb and his allies. Cobb has appeared on several talk shows, the Trisha Goodard Show, etc., to talk about his plans for the white supremacy movement in Leaf. So there's a show, actually I believe it is a documentary called Welcome to Leaf. Yeah, a documentary film about Cobb's attempt to take over Leaf, and it was released in 2015. Now, during the 2013 airing of the Trisha Goodard Show, the DNA test done on Cobb said that the test revealed, once again, it was 14% sub-Saharan African, but since then, Cobb has come under scrutiny of some of his fellow white supremacists. He later said that he had another DNA test done, and the test concluded that he is entirely European, except for what he calls a 3% Iberian thing.
Yeah, right.
Does that make sense to you guys? Do you think that was just more of just his own conspiracy, that point of not even being truthful and just wanting to say, hey, I could prove I'm not really black?
Of course.
Okay, that's crazy, right? Okay. So our next conspiracy theory is this is rather.
But it's funny how he had two different tests done, and they came back completely different. That tells you it's complete crap.
Right. He said he's entirely European, according to the new test, except for what he called a 3%.
Well, I'm guaranteeing you that test he had that said he's 100%. That's nonsense. I don't believe he got tested. I think he doctored something in order to make his white supremacist friends happy.
Right.
Like, oh, okay, white power.
Make himself feel better, right? That's crazy. Okay, so guys, the next conspiracy theory. This is for me. It's a rather new story.
Wait. I don't want to interrupt you again, Char. But what do you think they would have done if they found out that he was half black? What would that have done?
You mean completely half
or
black?
Or not even half black? 14%.
They would have called his ancestors nigger lovers and disowned them.
Yeah, but I misunderstood your question, Kai. It's who found out, because he was 14% black.
Because he's saying he went back and did another test. But if he did another test and he didn't doctor it and it said the exact same thing, what would have happened? That's my question.
Oh, what he's going to do, take another test and another test and another test. You have to accept that you are 14% black, dude. Just move on with your life. Or kill yourself, whichever one. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
but I'm just saying, like, would they have kicked him out because somewhere way back in his genealogy he had 14% sub-Saharan or whatever it was?
Okay. I have a very real scenario for you. Donald Glover, who released pretty much all his music, has a kind of a black conscious undertone, or at least a theme that shines the light on different, socioeconomic and racial things that's going on in this country, largely that has to do with, poor black people. He released This Is America, which everybody was like, yeah, exactly. But there's a contingent of black people who say that he has no place speaking about anything that is troubling black people because he has a white wife.
Oh, yeah.
So for the simple fact that he's married to a white woman, they feel he doesn't have, he has no right to say anything. So you're talking about something that has nothing to do with the other. So white supremacists find out that one of the white supremacists is half black or any fraction of black. Yeah, they would do the same thing. They would disown this person and say you have no right to talk about pure whiteness.
I had an argument with somebody who's on the complete flip side. They were racist black people who don't agree, I guess they think that black people were the first ones here and white people are monstrosities or whatever. So that's the complete opposite. I had an argument with them because they were saying for you to have the betterment of black people in mind, you can't marry outside of the race. And I was asking, how does that make sense? If I'm helping to better my community, but I just happen to find the love of my life that's Asian, I have to stop helping my community? And they were like, well, that's not bettering the black race. I said, how? I'm putting money into the black community. They said, yeah, but you now have mixed children. What the hell does that have to do with anything? I'm still helping the black community. And they were like, well, you're not helping the race because you've now, watered it down or tarnished it or whatever. And I was like, oh, my God, these people. Yeah, I was like, oh, my God, these people are crazy. So when I realized they were crazy, I stopped the argument because you can't argue with crazy.
Whoever that person is sounds like a eugenicist. Like, that's what eugenics believe. Like, it should be controlled breeding and procreating. And so whoever that is a eugenicist.
That's crazy. Seriously. Well, anyway, continue on, Char. I just needed to put that out there. Hopefully we open some minds with that.
We certainly appreciate that. All right, guys. So the second conspiracy, I'm staying on the same. Basically, I have two that are on racism, but it's entirely like you're saying the flip flop with your example. This is entirely the opposite. It's a flip flop of what Mr. Cobb, seems to stand for. Hello. Hello. Can you guys
still
hear me?
Here?
Oh, okay.
Yes, we can
I heard
hear you.
I heard an echo back there. Okay, so no, this one is very interesting too. There is a young black woman. Okay, she's a teenager actually. She's a young black woman, and her mother married a man who was white many years ago, when she was approximately maybe 3 or 4 years old. So the white father, along with the mother, raised her along with her sisters and brothers. So when she turned 16 years old, apparently the father was making many racist comments throughout her life, because when she turned 16, which was actually just recently, and she's been on various TV show segments discussing this, she decided that when she looks in the mirror, and let me just, if I can give a description, and I promise to everyone out there I'm not being discriminating or anything like that. I'm not saying anything, derogatory. But she says, when she in her interview, she says, "Look at me." She says, "Black people are so ugly, but I'm white." Now, when I say that this girl is black, she's brown skinned, first of all, beautiful brown skin. She has very thick lips and a white nose. Okay, I mean, and her hair is an apple texture.
Yeah, I saw that girl.
So, did you hear about that?
I'm gonna let you finish because I know what you're talking about, and I already have an update on that. So continue.
Okay, great. So here's my point, though. Okay, her father raised her to believe she was white. Not that they told her to believe that, but she didn't know any better. She said she could feel it in her veins that she's white. She can feel it so much to the point where she thinks that black people are utterly just ugly. They're disgusting. She literally feels that we're not even really human. She has nothing in common with black people. She'll never be like those Negroes, was her actual quote, okay? She's racist statements is something that she just wakes up running out of her mouth. She just doesn't, she looks at her family, and I think that the host, I think it was Dr. Phil, I can't remember, asked her, well, what do you see when you look at your parent, when you look at your mother? Her mother said, honey, you are black. Okay, you are black. And so then the show host asked all the viewers in the audience, and again, this is being viewed by millions at home as well. And he says, so what do you all see? Or something like that. Is this a black woman? And they were like, yes, absolutely. So he said, if you believe that this young lady is a black woman, just stand up. The entire audience stood up. And she goes, oh, please, they're only just, she goes, when they leave from here, they're all going to say that I was white. They all know that if they look at me, I am a white woman. Look at my hair. It's not like black people's hair. She has apple texture hair that she perms. It was just too much. I really feel so bad and sorry for this girl because she's very intelligent, by the way, extremely intelligent, but very ignorant. Yeah. So I think that's well. Go ahead. I'm going to let you guys sound off from there. What did she say?
All right. So the update that I actually read this morning was that it was all a hoax. Basically, social media. If you want to fool somebody, you have to go back years and years in your social media and start deleting stuff. But in social media, they saw a couple years ago that she was down for, I guess, stuff happening between the police and black people. She was like, she wasn't for that. She was like, I don't understand why police are killing our black brothers and, this and this and this. And other such comments she made showing that she knew she was black and she sympathized with other black people, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, based on that, there's no way that you could say now that, oh, yeah, my father raised me to be white and I think I'm white. And it's they were saying, so basically what came out was that her and her mother were looking for attention, and that's what it was.
Oh,
of course, they haven't come out.
They
haven't come out to say that it's false, but based on people going back into her social media, and by the way, since then her social media has been completely deleted, so you can't go back and look anymore. But based on you looking at her Instagram and her Facebook, it completely goes against what she went on Dr. Phil and said, which, by the way, Dr. Phil and them could have done their own research, but hey, I guess
they really could have, right? absolutely could have done their own research. Absolutely. Well, Kai, just to confirm what you're saying, I actually did watch a video by a blogger named Tasha K, and she had her sister, Treasure is the young lady's name. Of course, that may not be her real name. She just goes by Treasure. But Treasure's sister came on the YouTube platform, and she said, my sister's crazy. I don't know why she's saying these things. I think it was kind of made up. The only reason I'm still presenting the story is because I don't know if that's a hoax, too. I don't understand what the point is. This girl looks so believable. She looks so, her emotions and passion for what she stood for seemed so real to me that I couldn't imagine that she would really actually go to such depth to get sensationalism fame or to be discovered.
Really, you couldn't believe that? Seriously?
No, because she sounded more like a person, like a young lady who would want to, well, she never mentioned that she had any interest in being in entertainment, media, an actress, a model, or anything like that. So I'm trying to connect with you.
Well, looking for attention has nothing to do with having a skill for acting or whatever. It's just attention.
Well, no, logic. That you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. If you're in front of millions of people with this 15 minutes of fame, of course you can get attention by people who are thinking, if you're this dramatic, maybe we will put you in a movie. Maybe there's a modeling agent who found her to be just what they're looking for, because she was slender and small frames and all that, confident in her own right. So that's what I mean. People go on television for a platform so that they can be picked up or seen or signed. It happens all the time. I really, truly believe if this is a hoax, then what other reason could it be except for, hey, I'm hoping that someone's going to actually see, opposed to her knocking down the doors of agencies and going the traditional route. These days, you're either a reality star because you had no skills, no experience, no training as an actress or actor, and the next thing you know, you have all this contact.
Do you think it would be far-fetched that if they pulled this off without a hitch, that some reality show producer wouldn't come to them and say, we want to see what it's like for you, a black woman, to believe she's white every day? Like, why would that not be a plan? She doesn't have to have a skill to sing or want to act or whatever. It's some people just want attention.
No, I agree, Logic. That's why I just said reality show celebrities, that's exactly how they got started, was they had no skills, they had no experience, they had no training. They were literally just talking about somewhat a reality of their lives, or they saw an opportunity, they auditioned, and they're like, hey, I want everybody to see me and talk about me. And maybe if I'm dramatic enough, someone will pull me off this show, give me my own show, or something else. So I totally believe, of course, that could happen. That was my whole point of saying maybe that's why. If Kai's theory is true, and what I read, or not read, the YouTube video that I saw shortly after with Tasha K, if it's really true and it was all a hoax, I mean, the integrity of her mother in the first place is just completely not there. That really shows her mother's lack of parenting and immaturity, and maybe the mother was looking for fame too, because they look so believable about this story. The mother was crying. She was distraught. They showed
they were all in on it. They were all in on it.
Mm-hmm.
If she was black conscious 2 years ago, your mother knows that. So for you to pop and say, hey, by the way, we're going to Dr. Phil. Why? Because I believe I'm a white person. What? Like, she's not going to not know. There's no. There's not going to be a big reveal on the show. Mm-hmm. She was in on it. The mother was in on it. Everything was on it.
Why would the producers not do the research? I mean, that's what producers do. They do research.
Because Dr. Phil is not interesting. He needs a show. If you look at all of his past people that he's been having ever since Oprah retired, it's been,
that's true.
People on the internet, like with the Catch Me Outside girl. Or it was just another chick that lied on her husband and said he raped the daughter or something, and it was no real closure. It was just he needed something salacious to have on his show, and that's what he did. And here's another one. Oh, a black girl believes she's white. No, it doesn't seem like it. I'm checking her profile. Who cares? Let's put it on, and because this is a dead week. We need something. That's what happened. They knew. They just needed a show.
Char?
yeah, I was just listening to him. I do it now. I'm going to probably follow up with more. I'm just going to kind of look at some updates because I'm very disappointed that these young people are watching her too. And this is the type of, this is what we resort to in life. We don't have anything better to do with ourselves opposed to preparing for our future in 2 years, you know what I mean? Or just, something positive. It's just really sad that social media and sensationalism has really taken over the world because everyone has an opportunity now. Whether it's anything interesting, whether it's a real storyline or not, that's just, it's crazy. It's really crazy. Absolutely. Wow. Okay, did you guys have anything else to add, or are we pretty much wrapping up that theory?
No, it was debunked. She was a fake. That just tells you a bunch of stuff that you see on TV was a fake. There's no conspiracy about that. It's something that we all know. You can't take anything that goes on TV at face value. That's basically it.
Right. That's very true. Okay, so do you guys want to move on to a third?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Now we're going to get away from racism. Okay. I like to do that. So let's get away from racism. And actually, no, in a way, I guess it is, but it's also kind of okay. I'll let you guys decide. So I'm sure by now that most of us have heard about the Agenda HR 1242, which basically is Ghana. Americans are being apparently the treaty with our government and with the Ghanaian government. I don't know if I said that correctly, but apparently there's a treaty in where Americans in 2009. How do I pronounce it, Logic?
Ghanaian.
Oh, Ghanaian. Thank you very much, Ghanaian. Okay. So with the Ghanaian government and our government, apparently there's a treaty that was presented or some type of, I don't know, something act or I don't know what it is exactly, but so here's the thing. Americans, black Americans, or however we consider ourselves to be of African, ancestry, and I don't mean physically that you're born in Africa, I just mean your African DNA. So we are being invited by their government over there to relocate from America back to the homeland, the motherland, with a visa and land to get started, and a welcome, open arms, which I don't believe that, by the way. I personally do believe this is Trump's idea of beginning ethnic cleansing because he really wants us out of his country anyway. But they're making it seem so attractive that there's home builders that are, are marketing and making the new Americans aware, hey, come over here, we'll get you a house at a great price. There's something called chain homes, which are very common. I'm not sure what's in particular city there, or the larger city probably, but the chain homes are beautiful. Imagine a 5-bedroom home with a pool and all the extras for, half the price that you would pay in your own home here in America or in your own state here in America. And they're making it so attractive. A lot of Black Americans are actually coming on YouTube and saying that they would feel more comfortable there because it really is their home and they should have never been taken away from there. And life is easy in Ghana. It is, carefree, stress-free, less expensive, and the part of being welcome there is what's really getting to me. Now, to move along to kind of connect with that, there's a new TV show, if anyone wants to look this up. There's a television show on a channel called UMC, Urban Movie Channel, basically all black movies. There you go. And they have an exclusive production. There's a new series called 40 and Single. And the entire idea is life in Ghana as a single male or female in your 40s. And so it really does kind of give some insight as to how they really live. But I'm not seeing Americans being welcomed with open arms. I've looked at a lot of other examples of people that are living there now that came from Maryland, from Philly, from Tennessee, all different places, all different parts of the United States, who are all excited to either go or they're already there. And they're saying, come on, everybody, come on. Oh, you know what, here's the other thing, too. What if, never mind Trump, what if it's just a plot to get us over there and then a war breaks out and we have no medication necessarily, we have no protection as Americans, they're already fighting with, the neighboring countries are fighting among themselves. You could be bit by a mosquito and get, catch malaria or whatever. So what if it's just a way for us to get over there, and then we're actually stuck because we don't know the law? You know, in the movie that I watch, in the series I watch, they actually don't really like Americans. They feel like we're getting a break when we come there, even with crime. Oh, you let the Americans go. How come you give the Americans a break? Or, you know, I don't know. It's just a lot of competition. So I really found this story to be very interesting. It's not even just a story, it's a movement, and it's an opportunity for people that really honestly feel that they would be more comfortable back in the motherland. What do you guys think?
I'll let Logic go first.
Agenda 1242. That's what everyone wants to write that down.
I've never heard of this thing, but I just can't imagine how stupid you would have to be to think that moving to Africa somewhere in some way is the move to make that's going to improve things for you. Number two, you know, the fact that black people don't realize that Africans don't like black people from America.
Right. Right.
I don't know how that's still a thing. You know, it's one thing back in the 60s and 70s, you know, you didn't know. But now, it's like it's just clear. If you look at it, it's clear. So, to me, it sounds about right if you're saying that the response has been that, but I've never heard of this thing personally. So,
Logic, there is an influx of 3 million Americans at least for the first grouping that's coming through. They already have a good number now. Some are expats, but people that are on this program that have just decided, okay, where's my land? Where's my visa? Where's my land? You know, and they have on the internet. There's all types of other groups you can join to connect with when you get there to help you, you know, find your way around, understand the culture, understand the language. Well, they speak English quite prominently throughout the land. They speak English. I'm not saying everywhere, but quite, you know, a lot of the areas that you go to. White people are going too. I'm not saying it's just black, but the blacks are specifically African Americans are being invited. So, did you want to expand on that?
I've never heard of it. But I'm with Logic. Africans don't really look kindly on black Americans. So, I mean, I've actually read articles where black Americans have gone to do, what do they call it? What are those things called? Peacekeeping things. What is it called?
Humanitarian aid.
Humanitarian, yeah. They've gone over to Africa. That's the country they chose. Hold on. Sorry, I didn't want to do that on air. But that's the country they chose to go over and do their humanitarian aid. And they get there, and the Africans actually got upset that it wasn't a white person. Why are you here? And they actually did treat them very badly because it was a black American that came to help them and not a white person. So, I mean, I think it's a hit or miss because not everybody's an asshole. But there are Africans that don't like black Americans, and then you're coming over there saying you're taking land. Here, this free land was given to me. That's even more of a type. I don't know if Logic will agree with me, but that's even to them. That's even more of a type of insult because now you're taking land, and it's it's kind of like let me put it in this context. It's kind of like you have white people in Oregon who completely, and I'm not saying all white people in Oregon, but some white people in Oregon who completely hate black people, and you say, here, take this land from these white people. It's going to be the same kind of struggle that's going on there. You know what I'm saying? So I've never heard of that law or whatever. I've never heard of this happening, but if black Americans think that, hey, we're going home to the motherland with open arms and all this stuff, then I feel for you when you get cold water splashed in your face because that's not what's going to happen.
You be asking the wrong person because me personally, I have no sympathy for African people at all, and it's not, I'm not being mean about it, but it's when I hear black people like, oh, we need to get our money together and help out the African country. It's like, why? For what? Like, what did they do for us? Have you ever heard of any African country ever? Any African millionaire ever given any kind of money to black people in America for any reason?
No,
you
they'll
ever heard
invest
of it?
it back into Africa. It won't come to the United States.
And to just to round out this whole Africa conversation, Akon, who's from Africa, was on a podcast. What?
Okay.
No, BJ's here. I was going to introduce him, but he has noise in the background.
Sorry. I'm still here.
It's okay, B.
Yeah, Akon, who's from Africa, was on a podcast talking about, I think, black people need to invest their money, in Africa because this is the new place for the, for black people to blah, 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 which I found to be complete horseshit because it was like, really, no, it's not. It's not. Number two, he said, because Africa is the second biggest continent in the world, so blah, blah, blah. And he's from Africa, but he doesn't realize Africa is the biggest continent in the world, not the second. He's in his mind, he thinks Asia is bigger than Africa. You know what I mean? So it's like, to me, the whole situation was like, what? And then that whole panel of black people there, no one corrected it. Because they didn't know. They were just like, yeah, you're right. I was just like, ugh.
Wow.
What an idiot.
They all flunked geography, right? Well, speaking of land lodge,
it's like second grade geography.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. Maybe some of the black Americans believe it's a reparation that we didn't get when slavery, when slaves were freed and we were supposed to get our 40 acres and a mule. Instead of 40 acres, it's go over there and get 2 or 3, and you set up your mule, you have your visa, you get over there and get your own mule. So,
Pan-Africanism has been something that's been talked about for a long time. It's nothing new. Marcus Garvey talked about it way before everybody, like long time ago. So it's nonsense. That's why I always say I don't ever want anybody to call me African American. It has nothing to do with any kind of shame of Africa, but you're not going to put an asterisk next to my nationality, but you also claim that we're all the same. I'm American. If you as a white person consider yourself American, and they all come from somewhere else,
they're not called
and
European
my
American.
ancestors were brought here by force, then if anybody has the right to just call themselves American, it's me and Native Americans. But you need an asterisk, if anything, if there is an asterisk going to be made. So, that whole idea,
which
like,
there
we just
shouldn't
need to
be,
go
because
back.
we're technically just all Americans.
Yeah, I understand. But that whole thing, like, we need to go back to Africa. Like I said, they have never sent one red cent or dinar or anything over here to help us. And I don't recall any African nation sending one warship over here to see what happened to their cousins and their ancestors that was taken long ago.
True. Not one. So
please, I don't want to hear none of that Africa talk personally.
No, and then even when what's her name again? The girl from Black Panther. I'm talking about.
Let me start it on her.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Logic. I want to hear it.
No, it was just the girl. What was it? Was it Lupita? I think it was Lupita.
Yeah.
Everybody. The only reason, first of all, that she's even known for 1 second is, and I'm gonna call a spade here. No pun intended. The only reason that you even know who she is because she stripped ass naked in 12 years of slaves and got whipped. That's the only reason you even know the name Lupita. She's not a great actor. She hasn't been killing it for years in movies, and now she's getting adjusted. She got butt naked in the movie and got whipped. That's why. Number two, everything that she owes to her career is due to playing a black American person. But when she was asked about something that had to do with, I guess, black people or something like, I don't even remember what the question was. At this point, she was in Africa or around some Africans. I don't even know where it happened, but she was like, no, such and something about Africa and blah, blah, blah. Everything ain't about Americans, and then walked off with this kind of attitude like, you're bothering me. Like, what? Okay. It came out in her a little bit. It came out. But, black people are so desperate for a champion. They just, I love the way her dark skin. Okay. Yeah. There's plenty of dark-skinned actresses out here from America, but all right.
Right. Well, that is true. That is very true. Or even Afrocentric or whatever. Hey, Logic and Kai and the entire panel. So is Bernie with? Is BJ with us now?
Yes, he is.
I'm here. I'm listening.
I thought I heard that. Okay, so I want to add something to what we're discussing regarding land in Africa. This is actually a little bit of an extension that might surprise some of you. So apparently in Kenya, we're moving way the other direction now. Okay, so we were in West Africa. Now this is Kenya. So in Kenya, there's Chinese developers. There has been an inflection of Chinese developers, I'll put it that way, that are building a mini China in Kenya. I want to say Uganda, but it may be a different group there. Maybe, I don't know if it's Dubai or a different group. But in Africa, in Kenya, they're building these mini cities that look like mini Chinas. And here's the thing that concerns me. Isn't Kenya known to have abundant natural resources? Even, I don't know if they have oil or maybe even oil. They have natural resources. Why would people come from another country across the land to look as if they're doing something for you? And then they're building houses and giving them to the Africans through special home loan programs. But meanwhile, do you need these people to come to give you opportunity when you have resources to do these things on your own? They're talking about, the Africans saying, well, they're building a road for us. They're they're going to knock down the mountain and build a road, and they're building homes, and you can do this on your own. And of course there's a lot of now they're saying that there's marriages that are mixed, the African culture mixing in with Chinese culture and having children, and this has been going on about, I guess maybe 3-4 years, but now it's really becoming more widely known. So did you guys hear anything about this? We're talking about apartments, highways, factories, entire cities that are sprouting up. They're in Kenya through the wealth of the Chinese and with their development.
Basically, what's going on with that? This is my take on it from what I've read and everything like that, and me knowing what's going on in the islands and somewhat in Africa. And Logic, add in or correct me or whatever. Basically, in China, it's getting way too overpopulated, overcrowded. So people are leaving to find more opportunities or whatever. They've actually been in the islands for a long time. Like in Dominica, they've already really infiltrated Dominica. Not saying infiltrated like, oh my God, it's a secret co-op. But they've really been in Dominica, which is an island way down south in the West Indies.
Right.
And, they're second generation, half Dominican, half Chinese children by now who speak Chinese or Mandarin and who speak the French Creole down there. And they have land, buy houses, sell houses to the natives, all that stuff. And so now they're basically doing the same thing in Africa. And what they're doing is, and I don't know how Africans are allowing them to do this, because what they're doing is they're coming in and buying up property or whatever and getting people to work for them, but at such a low rate that it's basically slavery. Now, the reason why I say I don't even know why Africans are letting them do this is because pretty sure Africans could have basically done the same thing, but you're allowing somebody to use you this way, come to your own land and use you this way. It's asinine to me. I don't understand it. But basically, it's something that's been going on. And you hear the Africans here in the United States, they watch the news about home, and they're sitting there screaming at the TV like, the Chinese. It's not really the Chinese fault. To me, it's like y'all are letting them in. Y'all are letting them do this. You're just letting this happen to you. But the Africans over here, screaming at the TV that, Chinese are unscrupulous or whatever. And I guess because I see all of this as a third party, because, yes, I'm from the Caribbean, but I don't 100% think like everybody from the Caribbean. And then I was raised around Africans, but I don't consider myself African, so I could look at this from a third-party perspective. The same as Black American. I'm not Black American, so I could look at all of this from like a third-party perspective. So I watch like the Africans screaming at the Chinese like they're coming in and doing something wrong, which they're technically it's wrong to pay people just pennies, but the Africans are letting this happen to them. So why are you screaming at the Chinese and not the African? You know what I'm saying? So basically that's what's happening. China is just very overpopulated, and for anything to be able to happen, the Chinese have to leave, or else they're not going to really have a place to live at home. They can't raise children. You can't. I think is the one-child rule still in effect in China? You can't have more than one child.
I thought it was 2. I always thought it was 2.
No, they just did away with it a few years ago. So you can have more than one child. But actually, a lot of people believe that China is overpopulating, and it's really not. The population is going down because they haven't been having enough kids. And I think 60% of the country is over the age of 50, so they're running out of young people. So what they're trying to do is expand vigorously and to keep the GDP of their country up because the workforce is dropping.
Well, okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, Kai, I wanted to kind of touch upon what you were saying regarding the Chinese needing to have someplace to go because of due to what they believe to be overpopulation. I was under the impression when I've been following these stories about Kenya, Uganda, and the Chinese developers, the way that I saw it was not that they're looking to invite just the Chinese citizens. It was more so developers that are relocating to Africa to build and offering constructional opportunities, for people to work because they don't have a choice. There's only so many Chinese people that can build these cities or buildings. But I didn't see it as they were promoting, to the Chinese people, hey, relocate here because we don't have as many people and you have new opportunities there. It doesn't appear to be presented that way, in my opinion. Now, of course, that could happen. When I was talking about intermixing, I mean the developers intermixing and literally marrying African wives, but not necessarily the Chinese just getting on planes, packing the family and saying, hey, it's too crowded here. Let's go all the way to Africa. Let's go to Kenya or let's go to Uganda. So I didn't get that impression that this is
there are more places than just Kenya and Uganda, but I mean, I don't know if it's Chinese companies that came in and are bringing more Chinese over to be managers and then like having the Africans as the laborers. I don't know if that's exactly what's going on, but it is the Chinese who have that foothold in the business. Because it's not like the white people who are already there saying, hey, Chinese, come over. That's not what's happening. It's the Chinese people who have their businesses there, who bought all this land, who is doing whatever they're doing. Then more Chinese are coming over, but then the Africans are being used as laborers and getting paid cents, Right. They're not getting paid that much.
Right. That is true. That is true. I did see that too. Why does Africa? Why does Kenya particularly? But that's where the larger. I guess this is where a lot of the developers chose Kenya for whatever reason. But why do Africans? How can they not see that their own land is rich? They have enough resources there to do the same thing, without having to have a third party that they didn't even ask to come in and take over, to so-called employ them or give them an opportunity, and expand their cities or build their cities. They can do these things on their own. You don't need a white man or any other race to come outside from another country, and especially when you're in Africa where there's so many natural resources that could bring in millions of dollars. So to take two
I don't know. Whenever I have a chance to speak with Africans, I usually delve into questions such as this because as y'all know me, which is why I have this show, I'm not shy to ask questions. So I a year or two ago, I think it was 2 years ago, we were supposed to have an African on the show, and I say it like an African. It was somebody from Africa. He was going to come on the show and answer like these questions that I've always been, wondering about. And I asked him, so I have it from what he said, but I wanted to get it from his mouth. But but I've asked certain questions such as basically, why do y'all not like Black Americans? If you know that they were taken from your country, it's not like they pieced out and said, we're leaving y'all, and, they were taken from your country or from your the western part of Africa. They were taken from the western part of your continent and brought here and degraded and beaten down and everything like that. Africans really don't have a problem with islanders. It's just Black Americans. And I asked him why they don't like them. So I haven't gotten to the point of asking, why do you still allow people to come in and dictate what y'all are doing with your land? But kind of what I got from him is, you go along with what the white people say. The white people give certain Black people power, and then those people really take that power to heart. And anybody who stands up to them just disappear. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So people are scared to stand up to them. But my thing is, if you do it one at a time, of course you're going to disappear. But if you're doing it like the entire freaking village or the entire whatever, like, they're going to have to wipe you all out, and then who are they going to have power over? But if you're just, everybody's scared and you're just letting one person do it, then yeah, it's easy to just kill one person than it is to do a whole 2 or 3 or 4 villages that come together. And that's the problem. Nobody wants to come together. Everybody has a problem. I don't like this village. I don't like this village. And the segregation, the whole segregation thing is what's keeping people exactly where they are. But that's the whole thing, because nobody's coming together, because everybody's scared. Nobody wants to speak out. Everybody's scared that they're going to be the next one to disappear. That's why it's easy for everybody else around the world to come to this huge continent and just basically take it over.
Mm-hmm. That's easy. Okay, guys, so are we pretty much wrapping up that theory of, Africa, Agenda 1242 and all of that, Ghana and...
Yeah, I guess the theory that Africa just lets everybody come in and rape it, sure.
Yeah, well, no, not just that, because it started with Ghana and HR 1242, but it's really, it's not the same thing, but it's still touching upon how they're asking us to come here. They're inviting us there. There's other groups that are coming there to take over. But do you guys want to wrap that one up and move to the last one?
Well, I just want to make one last comment. I find it hilarious when you see African people come over to the United States and then they look down their nose at Black people living in the hood, and they say, oh, well, in my country we own our own businesses and blah, blah, blah. But then you hear about stuff like this, and that's the same thing. Like, you're allowing another country to come in, rape your country for its resources, and
exactly.
you do nothing.
That's my point.
So
that's
the same thing as what's going on with United States Black people. But somehow they just believe, because they were born, on another patch of dirt, that they're just better. So
yeah,
I always found that funny.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I was trying to get across, and so I totally agree with that. It's very true, and it's very sad, and this is just exactly what's happening in the world right now. It's exactly what's going on. But it all goes back to
I think
being prejudiced or judgmental of other races. I mean, not other races, but feeling like you're better than someone else. How can you be better than me?
But see, it's the funny thing. It's the funniest thing. Like, I don't consider Judaism a race. Judaism is a religion, but for some reason people consider it a race. But, Jews come around and they really, gather around other Jews. I had this friend who was Jewish, and she was doing really badly. They didn't have a lot of money. Her husband didn't have a job. She didn't really have a job. And the Jewish community just surrounded them, gave them jobs at the Jewish YMCA, told them where to get a house and gave them grants for help, put their children in the Jewish private school, gave them grants for that. So they were basically good. They were good just because the Jewish community, helped them. So like the Asian community will help each other, and when I say help each other, I mean the Koreans will help Koreans, Japanese will help Japanese, Chinese will help Chinese. But then when it comes to black people, we don't do crap for each other. It's like you're on your own, and that's it. And that's why we're still
But it's because of the way the system was, though. The reason that Jewish people are a lot more organized and they have a lot more help that they can offer each other is because they can ask for white, because they are white. They're Europeans. You know what I mean? This is what if they're from Poland or Germany or Russia or whatever, they're Europeans. So they're white people just like every other white person, and this is a unknown thing for most people, but when Jewish people first started coming into this country, they would change their name because white people here knew what a Jewish last name sounded like. So they would change their name to Green or something like that just to pass so they wouldn't get hassled. And so they did exactly what black people can't do because black people have a skin color that they can't change. But if all you had to do was change your last name, which Italians used to do the same thing when they came over, and Irishmen and all that, they would all do whatever they had to do just to be seen as just another white person. And now so much time has passed by that now that's how white people just see him as another white person now. And also all of that is over. But black people have never had that chance. So Jewish people have that organization and that framework is because there was no active system set up to break apart that kind of, continuity and everything that they were trying to build. There was no systemic thing that was forcing that to not happen. And it's the same thing with Asians. White people aren't threatened by Asians. They don't find Asians threatening. They had them in the West Coast come over and build railroad tracks and just left them. Yeah, you can go over there and have your little Chinatown or whatever you're doing. And they just left them alone. There was no threat. So Asians got to have their culture and their language and their cohesiveness. So that's why they can offer each other, support. And whether you're Korean, Chinese, Japanese, or whatever, you still have a homeland that still gives you support in some way. Because they're again, the government was not actively stripping you of your identity. So that's the reason they do it. And it's the same reason that Spanish people do it, even though Spanish people and Caribbean people are much more fooling themselves because they are slaves. They're just slaves that had an island or something that they could claim and say, yeah, that's where I'm from, so that's what I am. There's no such thing as a Puerto Rican person. Puerto Rico was an island that was used for slave colonies. That was it. It was Spanish people from Spain, came over, raped the indigenous people, brought a bunch of blacks there, and left because they had no more money that they can continue to have the colony. And that's what happened. Those people just decided that they were, we're Puerto Ricans now. And it's the same thing with all of the Caribbean islands. Whether or not they want to admit it to themselves, you don't speak French. You don't really speak the language. You speak a version of it because you were slaves that never learned it completely because you weren't considered important enough to teach. It's pick this up, put this there, whatever, and it just whatever you added is what you have. So even though you eat certain foods and you do certain things, that's a culture that's left behind by your captors. And certain things that the slaves did in order to feel good about their situation and not be depressed all the time. So that kind of morphed into what Caribbean culture is now. So you're not a people. You're just
Trust me, Logic
survivors.
and I argue about this all the time because when he starts talking like that, my hackles go up because I can't
listen,
say I completely disagree because our culture does come for that, but you know, but for you to say our, you know, I can't get along with that. I can't get on board with that because I think this is what I think, and I know a lot of Caribbean people would agree with me. Our culture more closely matches with the African culture than the Black American culture does. And I'm not saying this to sound like, you know, like we're above y'all, because I don't think that. It's just that's just the fact. We were not broken down and beaten down as much as they were here in the United States. So our culture still closely matches more to Africa than it does with Black America, and that's just what it is. So it's like we do have a culture. Yes, it's mixed in with the slave masters and stuff, but we still do have a culture.
Listen to me. The problem with Caribbean people and Spanish people, Latinos, I should say, is that you get this attitude when I say this as if I'm saying that it doesn't exist. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you're acting like this is who you are. But then you look at Black people and you say, oh, they have no culture. You have no culture either. But it's because you identify your island with who you are as a people, and you say, no, this is who we are. This is what Black people are. Black people, the only difference between Caribbean people and Black people on the mainland is they were still living with their captors. Their captors didn't leave. Your captors left. So this is why you, in your mind, can think that this is your country. It's not your country. It's a leftover colony that they didn't do anything with anymore. They just left. So you have this illusion like this is who we are. This is not what you are. When the slave owners there owned Black people, this is what Black people did. They might have had a certain time during the year that they were allowed to have festivities. And there was a certain way that they spoke, a hodgepodge of the language that the owners spoke. And when they left, that festivity time turned into carnival. And then this language that you spoke turned into patois. And so you think, this is our culture. It's not. That's not your culture. It is just the survival tactic that slaves used in order to continue. But you look at Black people like, oh, you don't even know who you are. You don't either. But you got this illusion that you do because your captors left. Ours didn't. That's what I don't like.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. I just don't agree.
No, but see, you're laughing. But that's what, you see what? All right, here's a perfect example: Haiti and the Dominican Republic, same island, two different ways that they do things. Why? Because on one side of the island, the French ran it, and on the other side of the island, the Spanish ran it. So
but again, that's kind of going into what I was saying.
Wait a second. When they both left, the French side was Haiti, and they won because Toussaint and his homies pushed them out. Spain still owned their side of the colony. Spain eventually left because they went bankrupt. Those people that they left behind speak Spanish and eat that kind of food that they eat because that's what the Spanish left behind. It's a totally different food, and it's a totally different thing than what the French do. So both of them don't have their own consciousness. It's what the slave owners left behind. But if you ask any Dominican person or any Haitian person, do you really know who you are? Yes, I do. I am Haitian, and I eat this, and this is what our culture, blah, blah. And it's nonsense because it's the same thing that Black people do here. Our culture isn't cornbread and macaroni and cheese and wrap. That's just what we did to survive. That's not who we are. It's what we became. So there's no difference.
Wow.
Again, the only thing that I have to argue, well, I have a lot to argue with, but the one I'm going to argue with on that is, I understand what you're saying, that what we
Your
turned
pride
into
won't
was
let you accept
basically
it. That's what it is.
what we turned into was basically the African culture mixed in with whatever was brought to us. I agree with that. But, again, we have a closer tie to Africa than Black Americans.
Here she go with the
That's why
tie
our
again.
food, the things we do, et cetera, is closer to what they did in Africa than in Black America.
Specifically what food? What are you talking about?
For instance, in St. Thomas, we have a food that's called kalaloo, which is basically palaver sauce from West Africa. It's the
what
same
is
thing.
palaver sauce made of?
Like cassava leaf and stuff like that, and then kalaloo is made of spinach.
Okay. Black people eat spinach. What's the difference?
Yeah,
we
but
don't
you don't
boil
eat
a leaf
it the
down.
same
Wait,
way.
hold on. Wait a minute. But do you see what I'm saying? You are hinging everything that you're thinking off of your nonsense from your island. You think that you have more of a connection to Africa
so
because
basically
you
now
boil a
you're
leaf.
saying
Wait a
what
minute.
we believe is
hold
nonsense.
Hold on. Wait a minute. You're saying that you have more of a connection to Africa because you boil a leaf down and make a gravy that they do in certain parts of Africa. It's nonsense. In Africa, they have yams. In Africa, they have spinach. In Africa, they have okra and all of this stuff. Black people eat this too. We do it in a different way.
You don't eat it the same way. Of course you still eat it, but you don't eat it the same way.
We eat it in a different way, but we still eat the same food. Every part of Africa does not eat okra and spinach and everything. Wait, can you let me finish? Can you let me finish? You saying that you have a more of a connection to Africa because of a vegetable or a certain type of way that you cook something is nonsense. It's food. That is not a connection. It's food. You don't speak the language that you spoke from Africa. You don't believe in the religions that you believed in from Africa. You don't have the same archetype of the way that you run your society. It is not at all the same at all. All it is that your captors left and you fool yourself in thinking we have more of a connection. It's stupidity.
Again, with the food
that's
analogy,
like a Hawaiian arguing with a San Francisco person that they have more of a connection to Japan because they eat pineapple. It's dumb.
You asked me something. I gave you one itty bitty example. But
what else? They don't do carnival in Africa.
You made a point. With the food analogy, we eat this food, for instance, that's closer to Africa, and then when you bring it to the United States, yes, y'all eat okra and spinach and everything, but you don't eat it even remotely the same way as they do in Africa.
So what?
So that's just.
So what?
Let me get to my point. So that's just a kind of analogy to show you how watered down it was when it came to the United States. The culture was so watered down that you don't have the same thing.
You know, see,
and
this is the part.
This is the part.
No. Listen, you are saying it as a bad thing. This is
the
part that pisses me off. This is the part that pisses me off about you Caribbean people. You sit here and you say something like that, and you say, oh, it's much more watered down. It's not water. It's violence. Again, they left y'all over 100 years ago. Black people didn't have the right to drink out of a water fountain in the 50s. You know what I'm saying? We were actively demolished as a people if we did anything that had any kind of thing to do with any kind of self-pride. So why wouldn't it make sense that the way that African people cook a certain type of food is vastly different than the way black people do it, because we were, again, actively brutalized for something like that.
And I don't look at y'all negatively. I know other people do. I don't look at y'all negatively.
Listen,
that
you
your
may not.
culture was
you
watered down.
May not. You specifically may not, but Caribbean people do.
But again,
That's
okay, if they do, which most of them do, yes. You can't just take a shit on our culture and be like, well, you ain't shit. You were just leftovers.
Nobody's taking a shit. What I'm saying is your idea that you are a much more formed people is nonsense. It's based on the lie that you're telling yourself. Because you speaking that pidgin English version of French is a byproduct of slavery. That's not who you are. That's not culture. That's not a real religion. They don't teach that in school. You know what I mean? So you're making this up in your head as if this is something that you should say, this is what my culture is. It's not your culture. It's the leftovers of a European nation that was there that had you as a slave. And it's the same thing, like I said, with Latinos. These Mexicans running around talking about, I'm Latino, I'm whatever. It was Spanish people that owned slaves that ran Mexico. They left, and there were certain regions that had black people still there that rebelled, like the Yanga region of Mexico has a statue of a slave with shackles on his arm and holding up a machete. But they don't. You ask them, do you have any blackness in you? They'll immediately say, no, I don't talk about. No, I'm Mexican. That's what I am. They completely reject any idea that there was anything in them that had anything to do with slavery. Dominicans are the same way. Puerto Ricans are the same way. Cubans sometimes can be the same way. It's, you know what I mean?
Basically,
it's just,
everybody wants to get themselves away from the fact that they're slaves and or even African. So, yeah. But I'm going to have a show on this. I really am, because this is a whole...
Apparently not.
This is a whole
if
show.
Caribbeans are using it as a testament to their completion as a people, that we're closer to Africans than continental Americans. So, no,
I mean,
you're not
it's
trying
not
to get
really
yourself further
that.
away.
The reason why I put it that way is because you're just like, we don't have a culture. It's not... And I don't like when you say that, because we totally have a culture. Our culture is completely different from Black Americans' culture. It is different from African cultures, and even different islands in the Caribbean have different cultures. So I don't like when you say that, I don't agree with you. Let
me understand it. If somebody took you hostage, you had a kid, and this person that took you hostage spoke German, and
so you're saying we're the result of Stockholm syndrome? That's what you're trying to say?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
You just conformed to whatever
was there. That's exactly what it is. Why would it not be? Why would it not be? We were just talking about this woman that was sleeping with a white supremacist, passing for white. That's Stockholm syndrome. You don't want to be known as a black person because this is how much you hate yourself. That's Stockholm syndrome. For you to sit here and say that this little French stuff that you speak, or this Spanish that you speak, that people from Spain can't understand because it's not really Spanish. If you look at that and say, this is who I am, then it's Stockholm syndrome. You're adopting what these people left behind, and you're putting it up here on this pedestal.
But Logic, if I can interrupt, we have 2 minutes left in the show. I think that Kai is saying that in America, Black Americans have absolutely no connection to Africa. We only we have some culture.
What on earth makes you think that I'm confused about that you need to break that down?
No, because I think originally what she was saying is like Black Americans don't really have any connection to the culture or whatever was left from the African slaves.
She's going 2 minutes on that.
However, being from the islands, they really do seem to embrace African culture and various traditions and various forms that was left over from stories they told and different things that they would do that make it culture.
What you're doing is you're repeating her nonsense, and this is exactly the reason why I didn't want to keep going over this, because you're regurgitating what she said, and what I keep trying to explain is that whatever they have left over, is what the slave masters decided that they wasn't going to beat out of you before they left. And my thing is that the fact that they can look down their nose at mainland Americans and say they don't know who they are, as if they truly know who they are, is stupid. That's my point.
The logic in the islands, they do have celebrations and culture and traditions that were remembered, stories that were told and passed down.
All right, I'm done.
We're still
how about this? Because we're currently we're on the podcast recording, but we're currently off of live air. I'm totally going to have a show on this, and I need to bring different people from the Caribbean on, and I need to bring different regions of Black Americans on.
What you say?
No, because I'm going to bring Black Americans on too. It's not just going to be Caribbean people on. I want to bring Latinos on. I want to bring Caribbean people on. I want to bring Black Americans on, and I want to see if everybody agrees with you. Because I completely don't.
Listen, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. Hold on. I'm going to tell you why the average Black person is not going to agree. Because they are mentally weak. They do not have the ability to see the situation for what it is. Everything that we do here in this country is due to us trying to fit in with white culture. And the white culture is pretty much based on whatever the British/American ideology was. You can see it in the way people act now. Look at Kanye walking around looking like an idiot because he's trying to conform and whatever. He's trying to walk this line. I don't know. It's crazy shit. Okay? But what I'm saying is, just because the people that took you hostage spoke a different language and left earlier so they didn't have the next 300 years to beat everything out of you, for you to think that you know who you are more than these other people know who they are is stupid. That's my point. We are all lost. We all don't know who we are, including all of the Latinos. I don't care what they want to tell themselves about being more Native American. It's complete bullshit. They're fooling themselves. That's
okay, so you guys,
point.
can we pick this up? Can we pick this up on another show? Because I do have to kind of.
Listen, you can hang up and go if you want.
Yeah, I mean, what
we're
I'm saying
because talk about this on a different show.
Yeah. Okay.
So next week's show is going to be Logic's and BJ's Man Show, which we're going to have Char's friend on.
Special guest.
We're also going to have Christopher on as a guest. So that's going to be next week. Hopefully we let it be 90 minutes as it's supposed to. So for those of you listening to the podcast, thank you for joining us. See you next week. Peace out, everyone.
Everyone have a wonderful week. Goodbye.